Hello everyone, and welcome back to Channel. I'm truly thrilled to have you here today, because we're diving deep into one of the most profound and transformative ideas in Stoic philosophy, the role of virtue in achieving a happy life. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with the idea that happiness comes from external sources: more money, a better job, the perfect relationship, or simply possessing more things. Society often suggests that happiness is something we can find by pursuing the next big thing, or by accumulating more. Through making more, spending less, and saving a pretty expensive gift. However, Stoicism teaches us a radically different perspective. According to the Stoic philosophers, true happiness does not come from external achievements or possessions. Instead, it's a result of living a virtuous life, a life focused on cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. For the Stoics, virtue is not just the foundation of a good life, it's the very essence of what it means to live fully and happily. In this video, we'll explore how each of the four cardinal virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, can contribute to our happiness, and how these virtues, when practiced consistently, lead to a life of inner peace and fulfillment. To understand how virtue plays a central role in happiness, let's first take a step back and think about what happiness actually means. In modern society, happiness is often equated with pleasure or the absence of pain. We think of happiness as something external, something we can buy or achieve. But for the Stoics, happiness is not an external condition. It's an internal state of being that comes from living in accordance with nature and reason. The Stoics believed that true happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances, but rather on how we respond to those circumstances. In this sense, happiness is a choice, a way of being that we cultivate by living virtuously. End quote. Virtue is the highest good for the Stoics because it aligns us with our rational nature. The Stoic view of human nature is that we are rational beings, capable of making decisions based on reason rather than impulse or emotion. By living in harmony with reason and nature, we can attain eudaimonia, which is often translated as flourishing or human well-being. Eudaimonia is not just about momentary pleasure or success, but about living a life of meaning, purpose, and contentment. Now let's dive deeper into the four cardinal virtues that the Stoics believed were essential for achieving a happy life: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues serve as the pillars of a virtuous life, and each one contributes in its own unique way to our overall sense of happiness and fulfillment. Wisdom is the first and foremost of the Stoic virtues. It's the ability to understand the world as it truly is, and to make decisions based on reason rather than emotion or desire. Wisdom is about seeing things clearly and knowing what is truly important in life. For the Stoics, wisdom is not just intellectual knowledge, but practical knowledge, knowing how to live well and how to respond to life's challenges in a way that aligns with our values. One of the most important aspects of wisdom, according to the Stoics, is the ability to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot. We cannot control the external world, the actions of others, or the randomness of life, but we can control our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the world around us. Wisdom helps us recognize this distinction and empowers us to focus our energy on what is within our control, our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. By practicing wisdom, we learn to respond to life's ups and downs with clarity, calm, and composure, rather than being swept away by emotions or external events. When we cultivate wisdom, we begin to see that our happiness does not depend on external conditions like wealth, status, or approval from others. Instead, it comes from living in alignment with our values and acting with integrity. Wisdom teaches us to focus on what truly matters and to let go of the things that are beyond our control. By embracing wisdom, we free ourselves from the anxiety and frustration that come from chasing after things that ultimately do not bring lasting fulfillment. Courage, the second cardinal virtue, is the ability to face life's challenges with strength and resilience. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of fear. It's the inner strength to stand firm in our convictions, to do what is right even when it's difficult, and to take risks when necessary. The Stoics believed that courage was essential for living a virtuous life because it allows us to face adversity head-on and act in accordance with our principles, no matter the circumstances. Courage is particularly important in times of difficulty and uncertainty. Life is full of challenges, whether it's personal struggles, difficult decisions, or unexpected setbacks. In these moments, it's easy to become overwhelmed by fear, doubt, or insecurity. But the Stoics teach us that courage is the key to overcoming these obstacles. It's the courage to stay true to our values, even when the world around us may be trying to convince us to compromise. It's the courage to keep moving forward, even when the path seems unclear or the obstacles seem insurmountable. Courage also helps us face the inevitable difficulties that come with life. Pain, loss, and failure are all part of the human experience. But courage allows us to face these hardships without giving in to despair or defeat. It gives us the strength to persevere through tough times, knowing that we have the ability to overcome whatever challenges come our way. Justice, the third virtue, is about treating others with fairness and respect. It's the recognition that we are all part of a larger community and that our actions have an impact on those around us. The Stoics believed that living a just life meant acting with integrity, honesty, and fairness in all our interactions. It's about being accountable for our actions and considering the well-being of others in our decisions. Justice is not just about following the laws of society. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and our duty to contribute to the common good. In a world that often values individual success over collective well-being, justice reminds us that our happiness is deeply connected to the happiness of others. By living justly, we create harmony in our relationships and help build a more compassionate and equitable society. Justice also plays a key role in personal happiness. When we live justly, we cultivate trust and respect in our relationships. We become people who are reliable, honest, and fair, which fosters deeper connections with others. Living justly also helps us avoid the inner conflict and guilt that comes from dishonesty or unfairness. By acting with integrity, we align ourselves with our highest values, and this alignment brings us a deep sense of peace and satisfaction. Temperance, the fourth cardinal virtue, is the ability to exercise self-control and moderation in all aspects of life. It's about finding balance and avoiding excess. In a world that often promotes indulgence and instant gratification, temperance helps us maintain our equilibrium. It allows us to enjoy life's pleasures without becoming attached to them or letting them control us. Temperance teaches us to recognize when enough is enough and to avoid the temptation to overindulge. Temperance is particularly important in today's world, where we are constantly bombarded with messages encouraging us to consume more, buy more, and experience more. The Stoics recognized that excessive desire for material possessions, pleasure, or comfort could lead to a life of dissatisfaction and anxiety. Instead of constantly striving for more, temperance encourages us to appreciate what we already have and to focus on what truly brings lasting contentment. By practicing temperance, we free ourselves from the never-ending cycle of desire and acquisition and cultivate a sense of inner peace. Temperance also plays a crucial role in our emotional well-being. It helps us avoid overreaction and impulsive behavior, especially in moments of stress or frustration. By practicing temperance, we learn to respond to life's challenges with a calm and balanced mind, rather than being swept away by our emotions. It allows us to remain grounded and composed, no matter what happens around us. Now that we've explored the four cardinal virtues, let's take a moment to reflect on how these virtues contribute to our overall happiness. The Stoics believed that happiness does not come from external circumstances or possessions, but from living a life of virtue. When we live in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we create a life of meaning, purpose, and contentment. This kind of happiness is not dependent on the ups and downs of life. It's a stable, enduring happiness that comes from within. One of the most powerful teachings of Stoicism is the idea that we cannot control external events, but we can control how we respond to them. The Stoics teach us that true happiness comes from our ability to control our reactions and to live in accordance with our values. By focusing on virtue, we shift our focus away from external outcomes and instead focus on the development of our own character. This shift in perspective allows us to find peace and contentment, regardless of what is happening in our external world. In conclusion, the role of virtue in a happy life is central to Stoic philosophy. Virtue is not just the foundation of a good life, it is the path to true happiness. By cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we align ourselves with our deepest values and live in harmony with the natural order of the world. This alignment brings us a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that cannot be shaken by external events. True happiness, according to the Stoics, is not something we find in the world. It is something we create through the practice of virtue. Thank you so much for watching. If you found today's video valuable, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, the key to a happy life is not in external achievements or possessions, but in the cultivation of virtue. Stay stoic, stay virtuous, and I'll see you in the next video.